Welcome back to another encounter method breakdown. I'm John from Dumbest DnD, and today we're looking at the butter battle method. So you may remember this story. It's a Dr. Seuss book from back in the day called the Butter Battle, and it is all about the Ukes and the Zooks who are, they live in the same area. They're separated by a wall, and they just have very opposing opinions. So you have the Ukes who wear blue all the time, the Zooks wear orange all the time. So right there, pretty difficult situation. And then you have the Ukes who only eat their bread with the butter side up, and you have the Zooks who only eat their bread with the butter side down. So really difficult situationally, and I love this as a way to think about the party in your TTRPG or D&D approaching a town and just being thrust into this conflict. So it's not so much like, oh, you're going to get here, you can just wander around and everything's fine and hunky dory. Instead, you're going to get into this area and there's immediately very opposing viewpoints and high tension, like out of the gate, because you have the separation in a city or a town or whatever size location you want it to be. And you have these two warring factions that there's some like dumb thing that's disconnecting them. They're both zealots when it comes to their stance. Now, some parties may say, Bep, you know what? Don't want any part of this. We're going to dip out. But other parties, you can help lead them into trying to resolve the conflict. There has to be some reward that's in it for them if they do resolve the conflict, but the act of going back and forth could be pretty interesting for them. So we're going to break that down today, and I'll remove these. And we'll just we'll say side one and side two. So you have side one and side two, and when you have this split, you probably have somebody that's in charge of the two groups, right? In the butter battle, you have different generals. So we're gonna have, we'll just say, mayor and mayor. So those two, they're responsible for the different sides. They hold all the policy. They argue with each other. So you may have a case where the mayor is like, hey, send message to side two telling them they suck. You have mayor over here. Then I'll get to this in a moment. You have mayor of side two saying, hey, send mayor one a message that they suck. So it doesn't have to be over anything big either. It could be that one side worships green dragons while the other side worships red dragons. Now, in this case, that is a little more different than butter with it on top or on the butter on the bread, like facing down. But overall, I think you can find something within your campaign or your setting that fits pretty well with this. So some different things you can do with it. Side one, let's say, if you don't know the full story of the butter battle, like eventually it leads to them building bigger and bigger weapons. That's what this purple text is. Like they create a gun called the Kickapoo Kid, and these names are ridiculous. Classic Dr. Seuss. But it just goes to show that this is the sort of thing that you could expand upon. You could say, all right, they're gonna create catapults that launch. Let's go Monty Python on the Holy Grail style. Catapults launch cows at side two. And for each of these, you can start to give the party something to do. So they need cows. That's definitely something you go off and have them do. Once the cows are back, they launch them at side two. Side two, they say, well, we heard about these cow catapults, or catapults, if you will. We need defenses against the catapults. So defense against catapults. And they've decided that a net is the best way to do this, a large net over the entirety of the town. And so they need you to go to the next coastal town over. Coastal collection of nets. So now you can see, like, okay, so we have, antagonist and then the reaction to the antagonism here. And is there something else that they want to do? Maybe that doesn't work. And so The cows continue to get launched over the wall, and they are getting crushed by this beef, or maybe it's ruining the stalls that they're in. Ultimately, you can then say, you know what, we're going to go on the offensive with side two. Side two decides, okay, we're tired of this, and we're going to create some zip lines into side one and drop wizards in there to unleash Cloud Kill. A lot of Cloud Kill spells. So it's going to stink, or I guess that's stinking Cloud. Cloud Kill is more just, it's going to poison them and really put side one in a bad spot. Okay, so side one now has to determine, we want some sort of mask. Defense against Cloud Kill. What are they going to do? Is it certain areas and you got to catch the zip line? Wizard catchers. Or maybe it's masks. Masks. But it's really just following this logical flow, right? So side one, they have something they do. There's a defense against it. Side two says, okay, we have something we're going to do. Side one wants to defend against it. You have to find some hook or some reason that the party would care about the two competing together. And how to get them to care about resolving it. So I think that is the biggest question within all of this is how do you get them to resolve and why? As a DM in this situation, you'll need to allow for the mayors to be persuaded and for different sides to have different affiliations. So let's think through different situation down here. We have on side one, let's go Romeo and Juliet. We have Romeo, he's side one, connected to Juliet, who's on side two. They're in love. They talk at the wall all the time, and they whisper back and forth, but sadly, Romeo's on side one, Juliet's on side two. Their parents absolutely forbid them from talking to each other. They're not allowed anywhere near each other, so maybe you have to resolve this romance. Maybe you help them run away. But by setting up a romance, you also create some additional tension. And so the two families now, you have family is mad from Romeo, and from Juliet, family is also mad. And so they're both mad at each other, and it's a bad situation overall. And so you're trying to then help them. Maybe there's a commerce issue. So let's go with commerce as a core issue. Side one is sabotaging shipments of ball bearings from the Biggle Bros. So the Biggles balls are just kind of going all over the place. You have side two needs them for their primary export. Who knows what that is? But by having this situation where you're affecting commerce, you're affecting everything within that city, you're affecting the ability to get more food. There are a lot of different pieces that you can start to break apart here because you have a living, breathing city that has needs. Like there are things that it needs within the walls. Does the sewer system work? And side one clogs it up so that side two has an overflow. And for everything that one side needs, the other side is preventing it and trying to antagonize them further. So that's the butter battle method. It's one of the reasons that I love it is there's so many options. There's so many different ways that you can take it, so many different things that affect one side and the other. And it all boils down to, we go back to the very beginning. What is the difference between side one and side two? It could be a language barrier. It could be a food disagreement. The butter battle is an entire book that is literally about what side of the bread you put the butter on. If Dr. Seuss can do it, you can do it as well. I think it adds a really fun town or city into your game that, ultimately, maybe they blow each other up. Like, your party then has to deal with the consequences. Maybe there's fallout from that. Or they get caught up in the middle and they have to escape the city. So a lot of different ways that you can run with it. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the butter battle and how you might put it into your games. Till next time, roll high, stay ridiculous, and thanks for watching.